Welcome to today's Explainer. Man, I am absolutely thrilled you're here because we are looking at something that is literally reshaping how we work with information. If you're a focused learner, a knowledge worker, an analyst, or just someone who has to digest massive mountains of data fast, you are exactly in the right place. Today, we're talking about the 30-minute Analyst Playbook, AI for deep research in 2026. We're going to break down a framework that takes 50 raw, dense documents and flips them into a highly accurate, publishable report in under 30 minutes. Sounds like magic, right? But it's not. It is pure structured methodology. Okay, let's dive into this.
Here's our roadmap for today, so you know exactly how this assembly line unfolds. First, the 2026 research bottleneck. Second, the 4-phase AI playbook. Third, a real-world analyst case study. And finally, an honest reality check.
Section 1. The 2026 Research Bottleneck.
So before we get to the shiny new solution, we really have to look at the core problem. And the problem is we are drowning, just totally drowning in information. The challenge for students, founders, and analysts isn't finding data anymore, it's synthesizing it. Basic chatbots kind of gave us this illusion of speed, But asking a standard AI to just summarize this usually leaves you with shallow, generic bullet points that strip out all the nuance and the critical data you actually need. And 500 is a perfect number to anchor on here, because if you're still spending 20 hours reading through 500-page PDFs, dense SEC filings, or complex academic papers line by line, you're doing research the slow way. The mental drain of trying to juggle all those variables in your head across hundreds of pages is a massive bottleneck. It literally caps how much analysis you can actually get done in a week.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive shift that just happened. We are finally moving away from that frustrating old method of copy-pasting a single PDF and just crossing our fingers for a decent summary. Instead, welcome to the 2026 AI Stack. This really took off with some major updates launched back on July 24th. We are talking about 2 million token context windows and deep reasoning models that can handle 50 documents simultaneously. Top analysts today, they aren't asking AI for summaries anymore. They're building research assembly lines.
Section 2. The 4-phase AI Playbook. All right, this is where we pivot from understanding the problem to building the actual solution. Top analysts treat research like an engineering problem. They don't want a chat interface, they want a structured pipeline. So here's your high-level overview of the 4 steps. First up, ingestion and grounding, then deep reasoning. Step 3 is fact verification, and finally, artifact assembly. Each of these phases uses a specific AI model optimized for that exact task. Look, you wouldn't use a hammer to turn a screw, right? So you definitely shouldn't use one single AI model for this entire workflow. Let's see how this whole thing builds, starting with step 1.
Phase 1 relies on NotebookLM in Gemini 3.6 Flash. Think of this as your ingestion engine. You start by taking all your raw files, PDFs, meeting transcripts, academic studies, and loading them directly in. And because Gemini Flash recently had a staggering 70% price cut while keeping that massive 2 million token context window, you can actually load 50 entire documents at the exact same time without breaking a sweat. Or your budget, for that matter.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the grounding aspect. When you load these documents, NotebookLM creates a grounded index. You can ask it to instantly map every single contradiction between source A and source B. And even better, it pins every claim to exact page numbers with inline citations. We are talking about zero hallucination factual mapping, right out of the gate. This forms the rock-solid foundation for the rest of our assembly line.
Okay, so once we have that grounded map, we move right into phase 2, deep reasoning, using Claude Opus 5. We take those filtered source maps from phase 1 and pass them directly into Opus 5. Now, to get the absolute best results here, top analysts use structured XML tags to keep the data organized as it jumps between models. Opus 5 is a deep reasoning engine. That means it absolutely excels at structural extraction and finding all those hidden insights that the basic models just totally miss.
To show you exactly how powerful this is, I want you to consider this real prompt you can use. Quote, analyze these extracted findings for unstated assumptions, methodology flaws, and strategic risks. End quote. Do you see what's happening there? We are not asking for a summary. We're acting like a senior partner asking a brilliant junior analyst to stress test the data. This prompt right here is what unlocks Opus 5's true deep reasoning capabilities.
Which leads us perfectly into phases 3 and 4, DeepSeek v4 and publication assembly. Here's a golden rule. You should never trust a single AI model with critical numbers, ever.
So in Phase 3, we run key statistics and financial formulas through an open weights reasoning model like DeepSeek v4 to independently verify the math. Once those facts are cross-checked, Phase 4 brings Claude Opus 5 back in to format the final deliverable. It can pump out clean GitHub Markdown, executive slide decks, or even LaTeX math blocks. It's the whole shebang.
Section 3. The Analyst Case Study.
It's one thing to talk about a framework in the abstract, but it's way more helpful to see it applied. So let's put this 4-phase playbook into a real-world scenario. Imagine you're a market analyst, and your task today is to research quarterly earnings across 10 major tech companies. In Phase 1, you drop all 10 of those dense 10K filings into NotebookLM and tell it to extract specific metrics. What you get back is this pristine, clean table with columns for company, revenue growth, risk factors, and AI R&D spend. And crucially, this is the real game changer, every single data point in this table has an inline source anchor tying it back to the exact paragraph in the original SEC filing.
Completing the pipeline from here is incredibly fast. You just take that clean table, paste it into Opus 5 for Phase 2, and ask it to identify the top 3 competitive threats facing the market leader based purely on that financial data. Then in Phase 3, you audit the math using your secondary model. And finally, Phase 4, you export it all as a fully formatted executive deck. By sticking to this structured flow, you finish a comprehensive market due diligence report before your morning coffee even gets cold. I mean, it is literally a week's worth of work done in 30 minutes.
Section 4. The Honest Reality Check. So, the crucial point is that while this technology is breathtakingly fast, it is definitely not flawless. If you want to use this stack professionally, you have to operate with guardrails. Let's get real about the specific limits and risks you need to manage when utilizing this 30-minute playbook. The absolute biggest new risk in 2026 is something called hallucination by aggregation. When a model summarizes 20 or 50 dense sources at the exact same time, it can sometimes scramble the wires, like accidentally attributing a statistic from study A over to study B. This is exactly why Phase 1 is so critical. You must always click NotebookLM's inline citation pills to verify the original quote before you even think about hitting publish.
So to wrap that up, here are your 3 non-negotiable guardrails. Number 1, as we just discussed, watch out for those aggregation errors. Number 2, maintain primary source integrity. Remember, AI is your research assistant, not your crutch. If the AI highlights a critical risk factor, go read that specific original page yourself. And number 3, data privacy. Please never upload unencrypted, confidential client files to public AI endpoints. If you're handling proprietary IP, make sure you use enterprise workspace accounts or run open weights models like DeepSeek v4 locally on your own machine. Protect your data.
I want to leave you with a direct challenge for this week. Pick the biggest, most intimidating PDF or research folder sitting on your desktop right now. Load it into NotebookLM or Gemini Flash and just run Phase 1 of this playbook. Measure the time you save. I guarantee you are going to be amazed. So ask yourself, what is the single research topic or industry you want to analyze using this 30-minute AI stack? Think about how much faster you could master that topic. Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. And hey, happy research.